Well, hello there folks. So today we are going to be doing a topic which we did quite recently actually, completing the square. It's grade 8-9 stuff, but you guys were all really good at it when we did it in class before. But we're going to take it that little step further for completing the square where you've got a coefficient of x squared, so a number in front of it. We'll start off by doing 2 without a number in front of your x squared and take it from there. So let's just see how it goes. Remember, you can do this folks. All you need to do is take your time, listen to it, have a go at the first one, even if you feel like you've got no real idea what you're doing at the moment. Have a look back in your book if you like, and then have a crack at it before I show you, because if you have had that attempt before, listening to me and watching me go through it, it will make that much more sense to you. You will learn that much more from it. Here's our first question. So we're going to find the coordinates of the turning point of the curve y equals x squared plus 3x plus 7 by completing the square. That's going to help us. So pause the video, have a go, and then see how much of this you've got. It's one step at a time. If you remember, we start off by saying we're just going to think about this bit here, and we're going to think about the bracket that times by itself would give us x squared plus 3x when we then added it together. And in order to do that, we need to divide this number here by 2 to put it in a squared bracket. But when we do that, we would also get 3 over 2 squared. You're going to have 3 over 2 there, 3 over 2 there. Remember, we got our x squared, we got our 3 over 2x and our 3 over 2x. They peanut together to make your 3x. But then we also get this 3 over 2 times 3 over 2, which is 3 3s are 9 over 2 2s are 4, and that's going to be that much too big. So this squared is equal to that plus that, and we don't want that, so we need to take that away. So what we do in terms of writing is we just write that down, and then we worry about sorting this stuff out. So then I'm going to say, right, it's going to be x plus 3 over 2 squared, take 3 squared is 9, 2 squared is 4, and then I'm also going to have that negative 7. And then I'm going to think about what I do for this. Now, they're quite happy with leaving things as top heavy fractions, and that's probably the easiest way to do it. So I could say that that is still that bit there, and I could say I've got minus 9 over 4, take, well, 7 wholes over 4 would be 28 over 4, because 7 times, because every whole is 4 quarters, isn't it? And then if you add, because they're both negative, when you add two negative numbers together you get more negative. That's going to give us x plus 3 over 2 squared, take 9 and 28 is 37, 37 over 4. And remember, this whole thing all the way through is y equals, and the turning point for our, whenever you've got a quadratic, that's going to produce a curve that looks like that. So we're looking for the smallest value possible. The smallest value possible is going to happen, because this is a square and you can't have a positive square, the smallest amount this could make would be 0. So it's going to be, this bracket equals 0 when x equals negative 3 over 2. So negative 3 over 2 is going to be my x coordinate, and when that is 0, my y coordinate is just going to be that. So that's our final answer. If you put minus 1.5 minus 9.25, that's fine too, but you don't need to. Okay, so we've done that one. Have a little crack at this one now. Pause the video, have a go. So we're going to start with our x squared take x plus 8, and we're going to say we're just going to think about this bit, and that's minus 1x, isn't it? So in terms of a bracket, it's going to have to be a half squared, and we are going to have to always be taking, because a negative times a negative is a positive, as well as a positive times a positive, we're going to have to take whatever a half squared is, and then we're going to add 8. So this is what y equals. So that should have then given us x take a half squared. A half times a half is a quarter, take a quarter plus 8. And that's going to be x minus a half squared plus 7 3/4, or 31/4 if you did it that way. So our final thing is going to be, you need positive a half to make that bracket equal 0, and that is our y value when this is equal to 0. So 7 3/4, or 7.75, or 31/4. Okay, now even if you found those last two questions really tricksy, I want you still to have a go at this, because it's definitely possible for you to do. And this is as tricky as they get when we've got a coefficient of this there. And if you're thinking about doing Maths A level, then this is a really great skill to have going into that. So what we're going to start with is we're going to start by saying, right, we're going to put that in the bracket, and then I want to get rid of that 2. You see how they've got a number in front of there? Well, that is going to be that 2. You know that a is going to be 2 because it's there. So we're going to take a factor of 2 out of this square bracket. Just factorize that. 6 2's are 12, so that's minus 6x, and then plus 23. Now I'm going to do the same thing to complete the square inside here as I've done before. So keep my big bracket out there, and I'm going to say it's x take 6/2. Instead of writing 6/2, I'm just going to write 3 though, squared. I'm going to take away that 6/2, which is 3 squared. Close the square bracket, and then we've still got our plus 23 over here. Now this bit you've got to be really careful on. So to make sure I'm going to clean this bit up a little bit first. So I've got 2, my big bracket, x take 3 squared take 9 plus 23. And then I'm going to say, right, I want to get rid of the square bracket. So if I was going to expand this, I could say, well, I don't know what x minus 3 squared is, and I don't care. For now, I'm just going to keep that like that. That's got to be times by 2. But the negative 9 has to be times by 2 as well. So that'll be negative 18. And then we've got our plus 23. So you could even, yeah. Then you've just got to simplify this little bit, which means we've got 2 x take 3. I don't know why I put cubed up there, that should be squared. 23 take 18 is 5, so that'll be plus 5. And that's our 3 marks on that. Although it's tricky, actually, for grade 9 stuff, it's not that much work that we're doing. So this is a skill really worth using, because you can save some time in the exam room if you're confident on it. And it does seem to come up every time at the moment. Now then, looking at this, we want the turning point. Now the turning point is going to be the point where the bracket is equal to 0 still, because if that was 0, 2 times 0 is still 0. So the turning point is still going to be when the bracket is equal to 0. So our x is still going to be plus 3, because that makes the bracket equal to 0. And this is being doubled, but this isn't. So if we had y equals to x take 3 all squared, when that's all 0, that's going to be our value of y, 5. so it's 3, 5. So if you've got there and you've got this from before, then that's an easy final mark. Okay, have a go at question 10 now. Then pause the video, see how you get on. So we're writing this one in the form 2x squared plus 16x plus 26. So I'm going to save myself a little bit here by just putting a square bracket around there to remind myself that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to take the factor of 2 outside. So 2/8 are 16. So I've got 8x inside the box and then the plus 26 at the end. And I'm going to keep writing that to, and don't take any shortcuts. There's enough thinking to do in here that you just, it's all doable if you keep it simple. So at this point here, I need to halve this, don't I? And then I need to remember that that's going to give me 4 squared, which I'm going to have to take away. Now, just sort this bit out. Don't try and take everything out the bracket at the same time. Try and leave yourself only one active thought in your brain to be having at any one moment. Because now we've got to multiply what's inside the square bracket, and this is where the mistake often happens. People forget to double this number. 2 16s are 32, and we've got the plus 26. So our final answer is going to be 2x plus 4 squared. So our a equals 2 for that. Our b equals 4. And the c is going to be negative 6, because 26 take 32 is negative 6. And the whole reason for doing that is to find the turning point of the curve. And the turning point is going to happen when this bracket is worth 0, which is when x is negative 4. And when this is 0, our y value will be negative 6. So now we need to practice this a little bit more, and they might just get a tiny teensy bit trickier as well. It doesn't have to be 2 as your coefficient. That's what's happening here. So pause the video and give it a go. So I'm just going to start off by putting my square box around there, and then say, right, I'm going to take the factor of 3 out of there. X squared, 3 2's are 6, so 3 x squared minus 2x, and then plus 6 is going to be the same thing. Then we're going to do our completing the square brackets action by halving the coefficient of x to give us minus 1. We're going to take that 1 squared away, plus 6. Now you might be tempted to take a shortcut, but do not do that. Don't be one of those people who's got all the knowledge but doesn't quite get all the marks they could. Take it one step at a time. 1 squared is 1. Now we can expand this square bracket, and that's going to give us 3 with x minus 1 squared there. We've got to times the 1 by 3, so it's negative 3 plus 6, which means we can now simplify, and 6 take 3 is plus 3, so that gives us that. And now when it gets to the turning point of our graph, we're going to be using the completing the square that we've just done, and we know that our x value coordinate must be 1 to make the bracket equal 0, and when it is equal to 0, this is our y coordinate. So 1 3 is our final answer there. Now let's have a go at one more. So pause the video and give it a go. So here's me square bracket, and then I'm going to take my factor of 3 outside the square bracket, so just write x squared there, divide 30 by 3 gives me 10x plus 63. Then we do our halving and putting it into a square bracket, but that's going to give us a 20 plus 25 we don't want, so we're going to have to take that 5 squared away at the end, and we've got the plus 63. Then just one step at a time, we square the 5 to give us 25 plus 63, and then you've got to remember to get rid of this square bracket. So we're multiplying that by 3, but we must also multiply the negative 25 by 3. And our final thing to do is just to simplify those by taking 75 from 63, which will be the difference between them, which is 12 and negative. So all of that means we can now answer this final question by replacing 3x squared minus 30x plus 63 with in the completed square format. This bracket must equal 0, so x must equal 5. When that bracket is equal to 0, our y value will be negative 12. And that is all the examples that I wanted to do today. But maybe you should have one to have a go at that I will go through, that you can upload to me, and then I will just go through the way I would do it at the beginning of next lesson. So I'll write that down now for you. So here's your problem. It's a little bit trickier because it takes the elements of the first ones we did without having the coefficient of x squared, where you ended up with a fraction because you've got an odd number of x here. So take your time, do every little bit that you can, and you will end up with fractional answers if you've got it right. Okay, well, good luck with that, folks. That is as grade 9 as algebra can be. So if you can do this, you can do it all, and I know you can do it.